a number of practices I think are useful. First of all, if you don't already have a meditation practice, I would recommend meditating. Ideally every day. Ideally probably at least a couple times a day. It only has to be 15 or 20 minutes. But it's a very powerful practice with proven benefits. Okay, and proven benefits including helping you become more grounded and stable emotionally. It's really, really powerful. So some of you may not need it, but most people benefit from it. Okay? Another practice that I think is really useful for people, especially early on, hopefully get to the point where it's no longer necessary. In fact, all of these tools, the idea is to use them to get to a place where you don't need them anymore. Right? So I remember I met a guy, in fact, East Indian client of mine, who told me he wanted to retire in a few years. And I said, great, what's, why do you want to retire? What is it you want to do? He said, I want to be able to meditate all day. And I said, really? Okay. I mean, for me, I meditate because I know it's good for me to meditate. But I don't want to spend all day meditating. I want to spend all day living life, right? Connecting with people I care about and doing things that are fun. And meditation is a tool to help me do that stuff the way I'd like to do it, to, being balanced emotionally. But, whatever your goals are, that's fine. So for people that still have issues with, victim consciousness, with, this whole life isn't fair, all that stuff, like things are bad, I would get a journal, and every day I would write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, first thing in the morning. Okay? 3 things I'm grateful for. And day 2, before you write down the 3 things you're grateful for, you read the 3 you already wrote. And day 3, you read the 6 you already wrote. And on day 300, it's going to take you a few extra minutes to read through the list of 1,000 things. And each day it's something different. So you're expanding your mind, and you get to the point where you're looking for things to be grateful for. And hopefully what happens is you eventually get to the point where you can be grateful for getting sick when you were 25. 23 in my case. Best thing that ever happened to me. Completely changed my life. And I might say the lives of thousands of other people. Because if I hadn't gotten on this path, maybe there wouldn't be a Tanglewood. Maybe you wouldn't be here. Maybe your path would have been completely different. Okay? So, that's the key. The goal is to get to the point where we realize that everything that comes up, we can be grateful for. Because even the things that are challenging us and difficult for us are opportunities for growth. And why are we here? Okay? The next piece is look for opportunities to get uncomfortable. What do I mean? Well, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Okay? If you're not willing to get uncomfortable, you're not going to grow very much. So, do what you need to do to create what you choose to create, no matter how difficult it is. Okay, I'm going to suggest to you guys who didn't do this time around, next time around, don't break your fast early. Okay? Do the process you set out to do, because it's a lot more powerful. And because you wind up getting much more benefit, and because you feel good about yourself. Every time you quit when something is difficult, you feel a little bit less empowered. And that's what happens. And you can say, no, I feel fine. But the truth is, what happens when we complete something we set out to do, it's amazing. So I actually look for places, not just things like that, but things I'm afraid of. When I realize I'm afraid of something, if I'm pretty confident it's not going to kill me, I'll usually make myself do it. Or like really hurt me, I'll make myself do it. So I remember that it was actually my second trip to Costa Rica. A friend took me to a waterfall. There were kids that were sliding down this smooth rock and dropping into the pool 20 feet below. I'm afraid of heights. I was like, that looks scary. So I guess I have to do it. So I did it.
Where's that at?
That sucks. Was it fun?
It was fun. It was scary, but it was fun. I got my open water, my PADI open water scuba diving certification in New Mexico, of all places. Is there water in New Mexico? There's a place called Blue Hole, and it's a spring-fed formation. It's 85 feet deep. It's about as far across as this room, maybe twice as big as the room is long around, and it's cold. We're actually wearing wetsuits in the desert, and crazy. There's this big rock formation. It's probably 30 feet or so above on one side, and my friends are jumping off. And I go up there and I'm leaning over, looking over, and one of my friends pushes me.
What a friend.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, there wasn't rocks right below. It wasn't like you had to jump out. I was okay. And I went back and did it again. I mean, I went back and jumped after the first time. But someone got a picture of me as I was terrified. Yeah. And then I did it again. And you know what? I mean, if you hadn't pushed me, maybe I wouldn't have ever jumped. But every time I face my fears and make myself do something that I'm scared of doing or that's uncomfortable for me, I get more powerful. That's what happens. Okay, so I think I shared this before, but in our internship program, which we don't have anymore, the interns, it was a 4-month program, the interns were required to get up in front of the room and give 4 presentations because most people are terrified of public speaking. So I made them do it. They didn't have to. They could have gone home instead. But they couldn't stay and not do that. It was part of the program. Okay? It helped a lot of people really grow. Okay, we'd go to the beach every Friday for 4 weeks. There was one period we were closed. Every Friday morning we'd go to the beach. We'd meditate on the beach together. We'd meditate every morning. But we would do it on Friday mornings on the beach. We'd leave at 6 o'clock. We'd get there by 7. We'd meditate on the beach as the sun was coming up. Then we'd exercise on the beach. And then we'd have breakfast on the beach. Then we'd go back. And every other session or so, we did this for 6.5 years, I'd have someone that was afraid of the ocean. A lot of people have never seen the ocean before, right? They're afraid of the ocean. There'd be waves. And I'd say, okay, give me your hand. Let's go. Now, I wouldn't force them, but I would strongly encourage them to go in. Face your fear. You might die. You're going to die anyway. Eventually. Just might speed it up a little bit. But at least you'll have done it, right? Being courageous. That's how I want to go out, right? I don't want to go out like doing something I'm afraid of or being afraid to do something. I was a competitive swimmer for many years and life-saving, so I would say, well, I got you. I'll be right there. I'll hold your hand the whole time. And almost all of them went in. Okay? Every single time you face your fear, you grow. It's powerful. Okay, do this whenever you can. Look for opportunities to do this. Look for ways to get out. If you're one of those people that's uncomfortable talking to people. Any introverts here? Come on, I know you don't want to raise your hands, introverts, but raise them anyway. Come on.
No, I'm just kidding.
It might surprise you to know that I'm an introvert. Okay? It's true.
No.
It's true. It is. Introverts are people who look for isolation to recharge. It doesn't mean they can't socialize. It's just that socializing for introverts takes energy from them. Extroverts get energy being around other people. Introverts lose energy. I'm an introvert, okay? As any of the volunteers can tell me, I spend half the day in my space with my door closed. What do you want? Why are you here? Okay? Can you please get out of my face now? Okay? I like my time alone. And I've learned to socialize, to be outgoing. But it's not as natural to me as it probably is for you. Okay? So do what's uncomfortable. If you're that person that doesn't really start putting yourself out there. Try smiling at everybody you see on the street. Just that. Or say hello to everyone. Hey, how you doing?
Lord,
Yes, sir.
For me, like, I used to be very introverted, and I found someone that was the complete opposite of me, and I dedicated myself to being around this person and gaining from them and learning from them.
To modeling their behavior.
Like that, sometimes you need that help, that
Yeah.
support.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. So it's a great idea in general. If you want to learn something, hang out with someone that already has that. Okay, model their behavior, learn from it. It's powerful. Questions? I just thought of a funny scene. Years ago, I was a waiter. I waited tables through college, in fact, but it was my last summer before I graduated, and I had for 2 summers, believe it or not, I managed a fast food restaurant. I got a job the first summer as a short order cook on a griddle making burgers and French fries and all that stuff. I ate all that crap back then. It was a terrible job. It was hot, messy, dirty. And fortunately, after about 10 days, I was promoted to manager. And that was great. That was much better. But I wound up getting fired from that job at the end of the second summer. And they were absolutely right to fire me. I was being irresponsible. They fired, and that was a good lesson for me. But the following summer, I came back again, and I wanted to get a job, right? And I was like, so I went to all the restaurants, because some of the best money is as a bartender or a waiter. I tried bartending, didn't know how to make drinks. I got a job as a bartender at a country club. It was pathetic. I was there for about a week, and I quit before they fired. They would have fired me for sure. But I said, I'm in the wrong place. I have no idea what I'm doing. Right? I wasn't really interested in learning either. I was like, I'm done. But I went to all the restaurants in town, and everyone said, what kind of experience do you have? I said, I don't have any experience. So we'll hire you as a busboy. I'm like, no, not interested. And I went. The last place I went to was the last place I thought would hire me. It was a place I've been there 2 summers already. It was a place I would take dates. Okay, it was the nicest place in town, my favorite place in town. The dining room was a big screen porch about as big as this space, slate floor, screen panels in the pine trees about 2 blocks from the beach, candles. They didn't have a liquor license, which meant you could bring a bottle of wine and they'd charge you a corking fee, and that was a lot cheaper than buying a bottle of wine from a restaurant, right? So it was a way to have a nice dinner, much less expensive than the other nice places. And I thought, they'll never hire me. Certainly they're hiring professional waiters, right? So I went there, and the woman said, the owner, Mrs. Hooper, Elizabeth Hooper, I'll never forget her. She said, how much experience do you have? I said, I don't have any experience. She said, good. I like to train people myself. I was pleasantly surprised. It was awesome. It was a bed and breakfast. They had about 8 rooms, and all the people staying there would have breakfast, which meant we'd have, 8, 12, maybe 16 people eating breakfast. You'd work for 4 hours. You'd go home with $2 or $3 and maybe $10 in your pocket, right? Everyone, and we were out partying every night because the dinners would end. We'd close at, I think we'd stop taking people at 10. The kitchen would close. We'd be home. We'd be out of there by 11. We'd all go out. The waiters, we'd all go out together and drink, smoke some pot, whatever, right? I never went to bed before 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So the last thing any of us wanted to do was get up at 7 o'clock, or probably be there by 7:30, right? Get up at 7 o'clock to be there at 7:30 to serve breakfast, to make no money. Because dinners, I could go home with $100. Breakfast, 10 if I was lucky. Except Sunday brunch. Sunday brunch was packed, and you'd go home with with $100 or more every day. Breakfast, everyone hated it. And I got tired of all the other guys. There'd be 2 or 3 of us working. The bus boys would be there. But everyone there hated to be there. They hated it. And everyone was depressed and was moping and complaining. I'm like, this sucks. Like, the whole attitude here sucks. So one day I decided to change it. So I made myself a little mask. I took a tablecloth and stuffed it down my shirt, and I leapt from table to table. I was Captain Breakfast. And I'd leap to the table and say, "I'm Captain Breakfast, what can I get you today?" And everyone had a good time for a while until Mrs. Hooper said, "Loren, that's enough." That was it. I think she let me do like 2 days, 3 days. No more.